Hello and welcome to Ultimate Motorsport 1963 Round 4. Here we start off with qualifying. Last time round it was James Lavoie's third victory after he beat Steven Jackson to the finish line. So who will it be today and who will take pole position? Jacob Johnson looking on pace. The Lowski drivers also started off the first two rounds quite terribly, but had really good qualifying pace last round, and we'll see if they can repeat it here. But across for the first lap on provisional pole, it is Jacob Johnson with Solomon Rogers just 300ths off of him. Here we go, Jules Clays also, he's up in third at the current moment, and he's looking to be having the pace Riccardo Mancini. Up here, we've not seen much of him so far. And Luca Campbell, James Lavoie currently. Well, let's see. After it crosses the line, that's Jules Clays on provisional pole with a great time of 30.43. James Lavoie down in 9th, whereas his teammate Valentin Pontes down in 12th. Glitterati's really struggling for pace at this track. Here we go, across the line. Who will take pole position? It will be Jules Clays. What a brilliant time. Theo Petit gets up to the front row, dispossesses Jacob Johnson of the start from second position. Lavoie will start in 6th here at Magny-Cours. Francesco Longo starts from 12th and Pontes from 13th. That's great stuff for Lowski again, 4th and 5th, but Cooper ETB will be happy with that. Pole position and starting from 8th. So here we go, start of the race, and off we go for the French Grand Prix. Jules Clays off to a great start. Jacob Johnson and Solomon Rogers side by side now with Theo Petit as well. We got Lavoie fighting Riccardo Mancini. And we're going to have some light rain. Steven Jackson on the other side of Mancini, and both him and Lavoie get past the Aston Martin driver. Well, that's, I think, the first time I've seen an Aston Martin Andretti up there fighting for points, and we'll see how it looks like coming out. Jacob Johnson in the lead with Solomon Rogers behind him. Jules Clays now overtaken by Luis Hassan. And the Rogers goes up to first. The Lowskis are feeling the pace here. Jacob Johnson looks to be struggling a bit in the rainy weather with the inters. And Louis Hassan is up to 2. It's a 1-2 running for Lowski at the current moment. We got Jules Clays getting overtaken by James Lavoie there. James Lavoie already up to 4th. It didn't take too long, but clouds are coming back. Track is drying off, and Johnson immediately ahead of Hassan, and so is Lavoie. They're both fighting up positions here. See, will Johnson catch Rogers first, or will Lavoie catch Johnson first? Great exit by Rogers, and that means Lavoie overtakes Jacob Johnson for second position. They're not into the pits for dry tires just yet. Lavoie is running just behind Rogers. Johnson just ahead of Hassan, who's looking for a counter, and he gets third back. Now he's got Lavoie in front of him to deal with. Jules Clays, the pole setter, down in 5th. James Lavoie, I don't believe has set a single pole. No, he did set single pole position last time around. Johnson gets past Lavoie. Lavoie looks to have run out of that steam. He's back down to 4th, but it's a 4-way fight here. Any one of them could take the victory. Theo Petit starting from the front row. He's down in about the final points position. Pontes has also made it up there. Francesco Longo The HPR replacement for Matsejkovic is really struggling to score any points here. Johnson fighting the two Lowskis, meanwhile, for a race victory for HPR. And we're gonna have rain again, heavy rain. Luca Campbell has caught up to his teammate. Lavoy has dropped a bit off. Johnson and Rogers fighting up ahead. Hassan also dropped off from them. Our current World Constructors Championship standings, Scuderia Glitterati are very easily at the top tier, and that's thanks to Lavoy's just constant race wins, as well as Pontes and Hassan and Rogers have both crashed off into the gravel, and now they're third and fourth. That is devastating for the Lowskis, but they've still got the pace here. They're very close to Lavoy there, and Johnson is leading the race at the current moment. Clays has overtaken Rogers. Petit is right behind them as well. And Theo Petit overtakes Solomon Rogers for fifth position. Rogers just may have suffered some mechanical failure there. With the way that he's been dropping positions. Hassan, however, has been keeping up with Clays and Lavoy, but Clays with a very nice incisive inside overtake. Hassan fights for the position back, and all three of them are fighting here for second. All trying to catch Johnson. It's going to be hard if they're all fighting with each other for position. Clays on the outside of Lavoy. It becomes the inside, but Clays is over into second position. Hassan into third. Lavoy is struggling a lot now. That's for Jules Clays, who's only scored 6 points so far. He's not finished this high up. He's finished 6th, 7th, and 8th. Louis Hassan, even worse, 11th, 13th, and then 5th. So both of them running in the podium, looking to make their mark on the season at least. One podium is a good way to start that off. Jacob Johnson with his first podium last round. And he's looking for a win, first win this season. Can he stop Lavoy's streak? I think everyone here is making James Lavoy struggle with his streak. He's down in 5th now as Theo Petit overtakes him. Then we have Solomon Rogers in 6th. Aidan Badar is in 7th. And Luca Campbell fighting with Pontes for 8th. Look at that traction from Pontes. As you could see there, Pontes is through into 8th position. Hassan is up in second. Theo Petit is up to third now. Jacob Johnson is losing his gap. It looks like the HPR car really struggles in those intermediate rain conditions. Whenever it's fully wet or fully dry, it is completely fine for them. But once it is just at intermediate level, Jacob Johnson appears to struggle with the car, whereas his teammate Francesco Longo, down to 19th. Not too great for him. And Jules Clays on the back of Jacob Johnson here tries to go for a move around the outside. That would have been spectacular. Now he does it on the straight, on the small straight, and he's through into the lead of the race. Lavoy is back ahead of Petit. And now everyone's into the pits for dry tires. Jules Clay's really got a gap going up there. James Lavoy still with the fastest lap of 30 to 48, just half a tenth slower than Jules Clay's pole lap. Petit gets past him again. Lavoy has chosen the hards, so has Clays. Everyone in between has chosen softs, but Lavoy is still fighting Petit tooth and nail, and he gets through into 4th position. Jacob Johnson just looking to try and catch Clays. He's got the tire advantage and he's closing down. Hassan following him behind. He is closing down rapidly. He's already nearly at the back of Clays here. Petit is back in front of Lavoy. It looks like the grid is slowly closing together, the top 5 here at least. Solomon Rogers 3.5 seconds behind James Lavoy in 6th, and then it's Aidan Badar, and Steven Jackson has made it up to 8th. Johnson has just been following Clay's here, not much progress. In the last lap or so, Hassan is impatient. Hassan on the inside. Louis Hassan is through into second. Will he go for a move against Clay's on that turn? On the chicane. Oh, and through the final straight, Louis Hassan is into the lead of the race. Theo Petit now looking for a move on Jacob Johnson, and suddenly Johnson's out of the podium. Petit also on the same straight manages to get past Jules Clays, and Petit is up into second position. Louis Hassan is in first at the current moment in the top four here, so close. Lavoie has completely dropped off the base. Johnson gets past Jules Clays. The hards have just fallen off really rapidly here. Petit and Johnson and Hassan all very close together. Petit, great lap time of 30.50, just 200 slower than Lavoie's fastest lap of the race currently. But it's Hassan into the lead of the race. Jacob Johnson going rapidly is unable to close down on Hassan now for the next set of turns. Onto the inside, doesn't have the traction outside of the corner, doesn't have the right exit, and Hassan's still in the lead of the race. Johnson really took that chicane slowly. Petit is still in the fight as well, and in about a minute or so in about 2 minutes actually, we will know the mechanical failures. Jacob Johnson fighting with Theo Petit for second now, looks to have dropped behind into third, but he gets back into second. Hassan, however, is running away from the both of them. Jules Clay's still hanging on there in the back for fourth position. Hassan's into the bed, so is Johnson. Petit stays out. Clay's, of course, in the hards, he stays out as well. And Johnson and Hassan both onto the softs here. Was this the correct choice? Lavoie just behind Johnson as Johnson exits the pits, but Lavoie overtakes him regardless. And Clays has been in a massive collision with Davies, who was a lap below, but looks like they also closed off Johnson. That's some trouble for the both of them. Meanwhile, Theo Petit comes into the pits a lap late. Will the overcut be worth it? Let's find out. Hassan, Lavoie, and Johnson, and it's going to be heavy rain. But Petit comes out just ahead of Hassan behind Lavoie, and it's the top five are all ridiculously close to each other here. Petit fighting with Lavoie gets through into the lead of the race. Laps Bertrand, laps Longo. He's got the freshest tires, so he can steer those the easiest around this now slightly wet circuit. But they're into the pits now in this order. Theo Petit, James Lavoie, Louis Hassan, Jacob Johnson, and then Jules Clays. Solomon Rogers pitted for wets a lap earlier, and he's just slightly behind Jules Clays now, 1.5 seconds. So that gap has been closed up as well. But Lavoie is leading this race with Petit and Johnson behind. Johnson on the outside of Petit can't make that move stick. But now he's fighting him for the next set of turns, and for the inside he goes into second position, chasing down James Lavoie and Jose. I don't know if it's Jose. Ramos has to DNF the race. Solomon Rogers has to abandon his race. Mechanical failure for these tricky, heavy rain conditions. Same to Steven Jackson. And Luca Campbell, who was running in the points at one time for Cooper EDP, now in 10th, so he won't be too disappointed. Timofey Osipov, running in 18th, also has to retire the car. And finally, Theo Petit, after he's just dropped down to 4th. And it looks like he's had an engine failure there. But who will win it here? Louis Hassan has fought his way back up to second, but nobody's been able to close down on James Lavoie, and it's this turn here that causes particularly some trouble. But Hassan tries round the outside. He's right up the back of Lavoie, and through the straight, he's into the lead of the race with 1 lap to go. Jacob Johnson hanging on behind the both of them, but Louis Hassan, can he stop Lavoie's winning streak here today in Magny-Cours? He is running away rapidly. Johnson on the back of Lavoie as well. Hassan lapping Ramos, lapping Campbell. Hits the back of him. Lavoy, Johnson, very close, but Johnson loses a lot through that, gets stuck on Campbell. Hassan, for the final set of turns, will he do it? Lavoy is very close to the line. Louis Hassan wins the French Grand Prix by 500. A photo finish. Beats James Lavoy, who fails to win a fourth time in a row. What a spectacle. Ladies and gentlemen, Jacob Johnson rounds out the podium. Then as Jules Clay's or pole sitter finishes in fourth. Valentin Pontes, good finish at the end in fifth. Aiden Badar sixth. Mario Granados seventh. And Louis Rees finishes in the final points position in eighth position. Well, that was a crazy ending. And in the end, Lowski get their first victory of the season with a brilliant performance from Louis Hassan, although sadly they couldn't get double points because of Solomon Rogers' accident. It's Jose Ramos, not Juan Ramos. It's Jose Ramos. I hope you enjoyed, and